Welcome back, painting friends. Today we are going to paint a waterfall that I went to when I was in Portland. Colors you're going to need: green, light blue, teal, yellow, purple, brown, black, and white. I always have my favorite 4 brushes in the studio: my 1-inch flat brush, my 10-6, and 1 round brush. Don't forget to have a cup of water and a rag for keeping those brushes clean. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start off with my number 10 round brush, and I'm just going to lay out a couple of areas. So I'm going to use some brown paint, and I'm going to lay out my little hillside area that my waterfall is going to go between. So over here, about halfway up, I'm just going to make a small curved line that kind of goes down. I'm going to do the same thing over here on this side. Small curved line that goes down. Now from there, I'm going to take my brush. I can just wipe it off. I don't have to wash it off. And I'm just going to lay out where my waterfall is going to go. So I've got some blue paint on my brush, and my waterfall is going to kind of start over here, just a little bit off center of the center. So just a little bit to the left. And then it's just going to kind of disappear behind that first bump. Then right here, we're going to have some more waterfall. And it's going to go into a pool. So all I did was take my paintbrush, I made a straight line across these hills, I kind of followed it down, and I just turned it into a nice flat pool right there. So let's go ahead and start filling in some of these spaces. I'm going to fill in these areas right here with a lighter brown. So I could either choose to grab some yellow and stick it in there with my brown, or maybe some white, or maybe both. So these front areas, I'm just going to put a lighter brown in there. Up here on the top, I'm just going to keep my brush dirty. I'm going to paint this in a dark brown, leaving just a little bit of space. This is a skinny waterfall up at the top. With a clean brush, I can now take some white and some light blue and fill in all of these extra spaces. All right, we're going to let this dry. When we come back, we're going to add in all those fun details. With the dry background, let's go ahead and start adding in some more details. I'm going to go with my 1-inch flat brush, and I'm going to take almost no teal paint on my brush. So just the very tip of the brush, and I can even kind of tap it off to make it less. And I'm going to just go through here and make some lines, okay? So like I said, there's almost no paint on there, but just brushing in a little bit of that teal color. All the way down that waterfall, even down this part of the waterfall. I'm going to take that same brush, but this time I'm going to hold it kind of straight up and down, and I'm going to make some really visible teal lines. This time I'm going to take a little bit of yellow. I lied, a little bit of white and a little bit of teal, not yellow. and a little bit of that light blue. So white, teal, light blue, and I'm going to do the same thing again. A couple of lines. Go ahead and wipe that color off. And I'm going to grab now some white. Now watch what I'm going to do with my white. So I'm not going to wash my brush off. I just wiped it off. I'm going to grab the white paint, kind of tap it on my easel or on my palette to kind of spread some of those bristles out a little bit. And then I'm going to do the same thing but with white. Pulling straight lines down. Even turn my brush over, maybe go from the bottom and go up. Let's look down here at this area. I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to start to go left to right with some white paint. I can then grab some of that teal color and drop that in. It's okay if you go into your brown because we're going to finish cleaning up that brown with some colors in a little bit. I can even grab some of that darker blue color and maybe come in at the sides. I'm going to wipe that off. I'm going to grab just a little bit of yellow. Right in here, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to really kind of brighten up that bluish color. All right, let's talk about these rock features and then we'll add our bridge in last. Let's talk about these rock features and how we're going to make them work. So let's start in this back area first. This might sound kind of crazy, but trust me. I'm going to drop some spots of purple on here. I've got my 1-inch flat brush still. And then I'm going to drop some spots of black. And some spots of white. And then I'm going to take a couple areas and make them a little bit stronger in one color. So like I might take like black in this area and just add some more spots of black there. I might take purple down here in this area and add some extra purple. And what's going to happen then is I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to kind of do small little brush strokes back and forth. I'm trying to mix these colors up just a little bit. I'm going to fill that space in. Then after those colors are mixed in, I'm just going to take my brush and kind of tap it on there to kind of smooth it out. Now, as you're doing this, you do really want to kind of take your time and blend it well. You don't want to see these little lines. You can always grab extra paint if you need to, brown, white, purple, black. Just kind of tap these colors in. This is going to be the base layer for our rock cliff. This waterfall is falling down. I'm even going to take a little bit of yellow to create some highlighted areas. So you see now how I've got these areas, and it does look like rock because I kept my brush, and as I pressed it down, that rectangular shape of a lot of the rocks that are around these waterfalls starts to kind of take place. So I've got the bottom a little bit darker. I used quite a bit of purple down here. Sometimes I prefer purple as my shadow color more so than black. So today's a purple shadow day for me. So just kind of cleaning that line with a little bit of purple. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. The bottom layer is going to be similar, except we're going to add some greenery in, and we're not going to go quite as dark. So I'm going to use a lot of browns, whites, yellows towards the top, and then we'll add in a little bit of green. So I'm just going to start with these colors, kind of blend them in. Maybe some of that purple down towards the bottom to kind of darken it up down by the water. And then I'm not even going to wash my brush off. I'm going to take some green. I'm going to put some areas of green. So maybe like the top of this rock, maybe a couple of other little outcroppings where maybe there's a top of a ledge that some green can grow on. And then I'm going to take a little bit of brown and add it to those greens. Maybe even a little bit of purple in those greens to give it some really nice dramatic coloring. And you can even take a little bit of yellow at kind of the tippy tops of these. And blend some of that in also. We're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. With our main background done, we're going to add a couple of trees in. Now we're not going to see these trees necessarily, like the bases of them, but we're going to have some of them kind of hanging over. So I've got my number 10 round brush with some black and brown paint on it, and I'm just going to kind of bring a couple of branches of this tree in here. Anytime I make branches, I like to kind of start them off by looking like a letter Y. And these are all kind of cascading down from the top. And then what I'll do is I'll grab a little bit of a little bit of white, and start from the very tip of the branch and then take it to the edge of the canvas. And what that does is it just kind of unites all of those lines together. Before I cover up too much of my waterfall, I do want to take some white paint, make some extra little lines down on it. So I just have my number 10 round brush with a little bit of white paint, and I'm barely letting my paintbrush bristles hit my canvas. A very light touch. And I can even pop some of these off the side just a little bit. Okay, now let's go back up to the top. All right, so now I'm going to take some green and yellow on my brush, and I'm just going to kind of tap around these branches. I do want to see the branches still, so I don't want to totally cover them up. But I'm also okay if that purple and brown mix in a little bit, because all that will do is dull down the colors a little bit, make them look a little bit more realistic. And as I get closer to the edge of the canvas, I'll just kind of fill in a little bit more. I can even have some imaginary branches out here that we don't actually see, but they're Now down here, we're going to add some extra little white, okay? So I've got white on my brush, and I'm just going to go in and I'm going to dot all around the base of this waterfall, just like I did with my trees. Same type of thing, just white paint on my number 10 round brush. And I'm just going to make the bottom of this waterfall just have some texture to it. I can even use the back of my brush and add a couple of dots that kind of come up off of it. All right, let's zoom in and get this bridge done. I'm going to start off with black paint and my number 6 round brush. Now, anytime I like to make skinny lines, I do like to water my black paint down a little bit. So I'm just adding a little bit of water to my paint, make it more like an inky consistency. And the bridge goes right between these two lines right here. So I'm going to make a straight line that goes straight across. I'm going to add a little bit of white to it because the bridge itself is actually stone. Like a little gray bit. And then there's this beautiful arch that goes underneath it. So I'm going to start right here. I'm going to take a little bit of white paint on that brush and make another line that goes just and then little lines that go down. I'm going to take some black, make some little lines that go here down. And a little bit of black underneath of both the bridge and the arch. All right, let's zoom out. The only thing I think I want to add is a little bit of white up here at the top, kind of showing where the waterfall is getting ready to crest over. And maybe a small little white highlight on the bridge. And there we have it. When you're finished, you're going to sign your name in a color that's going to show up well on your canvas. I always put my initials in the bottom right corner. You got to decide what you want to do with yours. Remember that I never get to see what you're painting at home unless you take a picture of it and post it to my Facebook page, Painting with a Purpose. Make sure that you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Painting with a Purpose, so you're kept up to date on all of my tutorials. And remember, as always, stay kind, stay creative, and stay safe. Have a great day, friends. Bye now.